My name is Haoran. I'm the fourth year PhD candidate in Senior Media Studies program. So I'm a media artist and a media researcher and experimental game designer. Terms like gamification, serious game, and game-based storytelling have become very popular as ways to motivate and engage people through games or game-like experiences. I'm especially interested in the game categories like mindfulness games, meditation games, and exercise games that use this game as a medium to support both mental and physical well-being. But I've noticed that very few of these approaches draw on traditional Chinese practices. My research asked how we might rethink these kinds of games through the lens of Daoist tradition, using them to reimagine how games can engage the body and mind. Daoism as an indigenous Chinese religion and philosophy is closely tied to practices like Qigong and Tai Chi. By learning from these embodied traditions, I want to explore how we might study, and understand games through the idea of self-cultivation and Taoist philosophic thinking. So ultimately, my goal is to develop an original theoretic framework for understanding the relationship between game and the body, as well as a new approach to game design, one that helps us move beyond dominant Eurocentric perspectives in the field. I'm a media artist and a media researcher, as I said, working mostly with games and computational media art. In my field, game studies and media theory, Eurocentric frameworks have non-dominated. As a Chinese, but has received my higher education in a way since college, I was immersed by most of the Western theories. But there are scholars and practitioners who actively challenge these frameworks, using their work to imagine and build non-Eurocentric worlds that contribute to a pluriverse. Their efforts inspire me to bring my own lived experience and cultural background into my research and creative practice. So now in my work, I want to reclaim my cultural identity as both a researcher and a maker. But this isn't a simple task. Many projects presented as traditional Chinese cultural heritage still operate within neoliberal and capitalist logic. And there is also the risk of slipping into cultural nationalism. So this raises questions that I wrestle with. What counts as Chinese game or Chinese game studies? How can gaming technologies be meaningfully brought together with traditional practices and philosophies such as Daoism? I see the value of bringing my cultural identity into the field as a form of intervention, but I also recognize the importance of avoiding a rigid East-West binary. Before starting my PhD at York University, I created a VR project criticizing a pyramid scheme company in China that claimed to modernize traditional Chinese medicine. I also worked as a game designer at a VR therapy company, where I saw Eastern practices being incorporated into their products. This dynamic interplay between tradition and modernity, East and West, continues fascinating me, and that is what drives my current research. One of my favorite parts of my research is that it isn't limited to theoretic work. I'm also creating a game inspired by practices rooted in Daoism. This has led me study Tai Chi with masters, visit the Daoist mountain in China this summer actually, and organize workshops with practitioners and masters. I really enjoy the embodied side of the work and the opportunity to connect with people and communities who share similar interests. At the same time, I'm developing the game itself. I generally love the process of making it. Even though game development can be very challenging, I feel a sense of accomplishment when I finish a level or just get small mechanics finally work. It is a creative journey that keeps me inspired and grounded. I hope that exploring the relationship between games and practices rooted in Daoist tradition, my research can help us rethink the usual boundary between Western modern technology and Eastern tradition. I plan to keep working at this intersection, bringing Daoist practices into conversation with gaming technologies. I see this as just the beginning of a longer journey to understand how tradition and modernity can coexist and inform each other. There is such there is so much potential to reimagine how fast-paced technology through wisdom and perspective of Taoism, and I'm excited to continue exploring that space.